In 2015, the world was introduced to the T-14 Armata during Moscow's Victory Day parade. Its sleek lines, unmanned turret, and futuristic tech sparked headlines across the globe. At first glance, it looked like Russia had built the tank of the future sleek, digital, and armored with revolutionary features. It was meant to leapfrog over the decades of Soviet tank doctrine, showcasing that Russia was once again a leader in military innovation. But fast forward nearly 10 years, and the T-14 has yet to enter full-scale production. So what went wrong? To truly understand the Armata's current status, we must go back over 40 years to trace the origin of its concept and the long, complex road that led to its incomplete legacy. From the Cold War-era design laboratories of the Soviet Union to modern combat failures and budget shortfalls, the T-14 is not just a tank, it's a case study in ambition colliding with reality, Cold War lessons, and the birth of a new vision. The story begins in the aftermath of the 1973 Yom Kippur War. That conflict served as a wake-up call for both NATO and the Warsaw Pact. Western countries began developing tanks with better frontal armor and new composite protection, even if it meant drastically increasing their weight. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union also began reassessing its approach, contrary to the myth that it failed to evolve. In the early 1980s, the Morozov Design Bureau in present-day Ukraine began working on tank concepts that aimed to solve one of the biggest problems with Soviet armor: crew vulnerability due to ammunition storage. Led by the renowned designer Alexander Morozov, the Bureau envisioned tanks where the crew was physically separated from the ammo, lowering the risk of catastrophic explosions from direct hits. However, technological constraints of the time meant these ideas couldn't yet be fully realized. The Soviet prototypes that inspired the Armata. Despite these limitations, development pressed forward. During the 1980s, Morozov's team developed a series of promising concepts. Object 490A would eventually evolve into Object 477, codenamed Molot, or Hammer, a companion design. Object 490B was even more forward-looking, including a crewless turret, integrated thermal optics, and a 152mm gun, an unusually large caliber, meant to outclass Western armor. This design also envisioned real-time battlefield information sharing between tanks, artillery, and air units, anticipating the principles of network-centric warfare decades ahead of its time. Simultaneously, the Leningrad-based Kirov plant was working on a similar project known as Object 299, which embraced the same unmanned turret concept and digital warfare focus. These efforts, while technologically ambitious, never saw the light of mass production, but they did serve as foundational concepts that would later influence the Armata. The search for more power. To power these futuristic tanks, the Soviet Union also invested in more capable engines. The Morozov Bureau developed the 6DD diesel engine with up to 1,200 horsepower. Meanwhile, CTTZ in Chelyabinsk unveiled the 2V12 diesel engine, with potential to expand its output to 2,000 horsepower. These engines would eventually form the genetic blueprint for the powertrain of the T-14 Armata, although not without significant problems. The collapse of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and the fallout. With the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, many of these high-concept designs were abruptly discontinued. Russia inherited outdated armored forces like the T-72 and T-80, which performed poorly during the First Chechen War. These tanks suffered from doctrinal weaknesses, poor battlefield decision-making, and technological obsolescence. In response, Russia pursued two parallel strategies. The first was to improve what already existed, resulting in the T-90, a heavily modified T-72 with better optics, armor, and firepower. The second was a more radical initiative, Object 195. This prototype incorporated many of the best ideas from the 1980s, including a 152mm gun, an unmanned turret, an armored crew capsule, and reactive armor. It also featured the 85-3 engine, a 1,500 horsepower descendant of the 2V12. However, cost overruns and persistent technical issues ultimately doomed the project. When funding was denied in 2005, Object 195 was shelved, leaving Russia yet again without a true next-generation tank. Enter the T-14 Armata. Then came 2015. In a surprise move, Russia unveiled the T-14 Armata as part of a broader family of next-generation armored vehicles. Based on the Object 148 chassis, the T-14 featured radical changes from past designs. Most notably, all three crew members, driver, gunner, and commander, were placed in a heavily protected capsule at the front of the hull. The turret, entirely unmanned, was operated remotely, reducing risk to the crew in the event of a hit. The gun was the 125mm 82-1M smoothbore cannon, an upgrade over previous models and capable of firing advanced kinetic rounds like the Vacuum 1 and Vacuum 2. Originally, the designers hoped to implement a 152mm gun, but compromises were made in favor of ammunition compatibility and logistical concerns. Behind the turret sat the infamous A85-3 engine, a long-standing headache that would prove to be the tank's greatest weakness. The engine that could not. Despite being rated at 1,500 horsepower, the A85-3 engine, a descendant of the Soviet Tu-V12 design, has suffered from critical issues. It overheats frequently, consumes oil excessively, and has never proven itself in large-scale operations. Russian engineers attempted to replace it with a V-shaped version to solve its problems, but this redesign failed by 2020. No viable replacement has emerged since, and the T-14 remains saddled with a problematic engine that severely limits its potential for mass deployment. Armor and vulnerability. While the hull of the T-14 features modern composite armor and the Malachit reactive armor system, the turret is surprisingly underprotected. It lacks the composite armor originally assumed to be part of its design, and instead relies on basic steel plates, with only the top section fitted with reactive armor. This makes the turret especially vulnerable to light autocannons, anti-tank guided missiles, and increasingly, cheap FPV drones that strike from above precisely where the T-14's defenses are weakest. The tank relies on the Afghanit Active Protection System to intercept incoming threats. The system includes side and forward-facing radars and launchers designed to disable missiles in flight. However, the APS does not provide comprehensive 360-degree coverage, and its overhead protection is minimal. In today's warfare, where drones can hover and strike from above with pinpoint accuracy, this oversight is no longer acceptable. Situational awareness and tech upgrades. One area where the T-14 shines is situational awareness. The tank features 360-degree camera coverage, independent sights for the commander, and integrated laser and UV warning systems. Smoke grenade launchers and thermal imaging systems help the crew avoid detection and respond more effectively to threats. These upgrades mark a significant improvement over older Russian tanks and align with Western trends toward battlefield digitization. The Armata platform that never was. The T-14 was not meant to be a solo act. It was designed as the foundation for an entire family of armored vehicles. The T-15 infantry fighting vehicle used the same chassis to carry up to 8 soldiers into battle, complete with autocannons and anti-tank guided missiles. The T-16 was a recovery and repair variant. The Tu S-35 Kolitsia SV was a self-propelled howitzer, and a new urban warfare support vehicle known as BMPT-3 was also envisioned. Despite the promise, none of these vehicles have entered full service, largely due to technical, financial, and geopolitical roadblocks, sanctions, technology gaps, and the reality of modern war. One of the main reasons behind the delays and lack of progress is Russia's dependence on foreign components. The T-14's advanced optics were originally based on French-made thermal systems, which became unavailable due to sanctions. Domestic alternatives have yet to match the performance of their Western counterparts. Combined with the ongoing engine issues and the rise of drone warfare, which requires tanks to be both agile and heavily defended from all angles. The T-14 has struggled to keep up with the rapid pace of battlefield evolution. The changing nature of warfare also plays a major role. In an age of drones, precision-guided munitions, and real-time intelligence, the old metrics of tank superiority, armor thickness, gun caliber, and engine power are no longer sufficient on their own. The T-14's design must now contend with a reality where even low-cost drones can disable a tank with a well-placed strike. Ambition meets harsh reality. The T-14 Armata was born out of bold ideas, many of which were formulated as far back as the 1980s during the twilight of the Soviet Union. In theory, it has everything a next-generation tank should have: improved survivability, advanced sensors, modular design, and the potential to evolve into a whole family of vehicles. But in practice, it remains stuck in development limbo, hampered by technical setbacks, sanctions, budget constraints, and an evolving battlefield it was not fully prepared for. While the T-14 Armata may still represent the future of Russian armored warfare, for now, it remains more of a symbol than a functional reality. It is the product of 40 years of military ambition, one that, as of today, remains unrealized. And that wraps up our deep dive into the T-14 Armata, Russia's ambitious but troubled next-generation tank. If you found this video informative or learned something new, don't forget to hit that like and make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.